And one particular gentleman, I would always go when he was saying his morning prayers. And one day I went and he wasn't in his room. So I found him and he was in the dining area and he was so hungry and I could tell. And the nurses were, or the caregivers were so busy that he had to wait his turn to eat. And so I asked them, I said, is it okay if I feed him? They said, absolutely, go right ahead. And so we knew each other by eyesight, and he would say little things to me, and he would show me his tattoos from the camps and everything. And I started to feed him, and I was trying to get his mouth so he wouldn't choke and to clean his chin. And I looked up at his eyes, and tears were coming out.
Mm.
And he looked at me, and tears were coming out.
Yeah.
And when he looked at me, he had a grin in his eyes where he knew that I wasn't feeling sorry for him.
Yeah.
He knew that I was honored to feed him.
Yeah.
I was honored to put the spoon in his mouth and to feed him. And an interaction took place there that was so spiritual.
Yeah.
Without words, where I knew he knew that I was not crying because I felt sorry for him. And I knew that he had a bond with me that we had created. And without words, it was spiritual. And we connected, and I fed him his food, and I cleaned his chin, and I stroked his face. He was in his 90s, and late 90s actually. And it was such an honor for me. And I'm not saying that to try to sound good, to try to sound like I'm special. I'm not. But I felt so honored that I remember going into my car and weeping and just saying, thank you. Thank you, God, for the opportunity and the privilege to feed this man. And it just completely did something with me. And I share that because I noticed that when you touch people's lives to that degree, there's a lot that goes on without words.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There's a lot that goes on, and there's no there you can just communicate a certain way with your eyesight. I would look at them when they were passing in their bed. I would just look at them and we would lock eyes, and I knew they were leaving. I knew, and they knew I knew. And it was a bond, and I would go to them, lay my hands on them, anoint them with oil and pray for them. And if they were Jewish, this is the beauty of having both backgrounds. If they were Jewish, I knew the Hebrew prayers for them before they left. And if they were Christian, I knew the prayers to say before they left. And so many times it's without words.
Yeah.
And it's spirit to spirit. And there's nothing more powerful. So even though I'm looking at this desk and this computer, you are more real to me in the spirit than you are physically. And so when we minister to people's lives and to their hearts and to their needs, it becomes it's almost, pardon me, like the spirit just rises or elevates above the tangible.
Sure.
And there's a communication there. It's just so very beautiful. So I think that when you, as nurses, connect with people, that's why the nurses need ministry too. The nurses need help and strengthening. And it doesn't have to be religious. It can be spiritual. So that it can be a Buddhist nurse and a Christian nurse and a Jewish nurse and a Hindu nurse. And you can still reach the spiritual realm and help each other.
Absolutely.
That is so instructional without explaining it. And I'm going to try to get through this crying some more. Oh my gosh. Nurses don't need to be ministered to if they are allowed to do what you just said. If we have the time to shave an old veteran, that is all we need. Go ahead, Wendy. I'm going to collect myself.
No, I was thinking about this. We said it in this podcast that spirituality needs to combine with medicine. We've kept them different for so long, and we do it in so many different ways. But here's the good news, Irma, because it's like Karen and I for the last 10 days, everybody we talk to, this conversation on some level is coming into our conversation. So God, spirituality, religion, whatever somebody wants to call it, is making its way strongly back into humanity.
Yeah.
And because Karen in my world is so focused in with nurses, and so the medical side, it's making its way back into caring for human beings, right? Like we used to care for the human being as a whole in medicine eons ago.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's divided into all these specialties, and we've broken it down and we don't look at it as the whole, but it is coming back. And so is the dimension of breaking science and spirituality apart. They are one. And in my mind, that's how darkness works.
Yes.
But it is coming back strongly, and it is being felt, and people aren't afraid to say God. They're not afraid to talk about what you just said, because that's the energy in my background, or how I look, that's the energy of God. You just merged in the grace of God with that other human being. And imagine if merging that way happened everywhere. But since we're talking about medicine, imagine if that could happen between peers at work, between interprofessionals, between the patient interaction.
Yeah.
Like, just imagine. I have chills thinking of that. Like, it's time.
Yeah, I didn't just get all blubbery because I was sad. It's because that
it's beautiful.
Touched me so deeply. It's like two people whose gaps are collapses or collapsed, you know?
Yeah.
And that is, it is almost too much for our physical containers to handle, and it starts leaking out of our eyeballs.